Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Update News. I'm your host yeetify and this week brings mostly information about a plethora of quality of life updates. So as per tradition, let's have a look at the teaser trailer. There are so many small but fantastic little changes to cover in this one, so let's get straight into it. I'll be going by order that they appear in the teaser to make it easier to follow, which means that the first change is the so-called spark rework, and as always, everything you see here, in the teaser or in the stream are all a work in progress and can always change at any time. For 2.2, Yzuei, also known as Jelinskov, changed the sparking system in Trailmakers to be less intrusive. Up until now, the sparks had a really long life and were much more commonplace, which is really laggy. In other words, big bad, much sad. Without going into too much detail as to what exactly was done, because I don't really know, he changed the spawning condition for them. Instead of spontaneously materializing at every slight brush against another colliding block and not really radiating from where the collision is happening, they will now only come from the origin of the problem, and they will only show if the target blocks are actually taking damage. This is really good for builds with a lot of moving parts, for example mechs, where even the slightest collision, even if not damaging, will drown your screen in a shower of orange particles. The next mentioned feature is a whopping 18 new colors. For now, they have been straight up just tacked onto the end, but that'll change eventually. For now though, let's see them in a bit more detail. The first one is this creamy color that, to me at least, looks to be between the previously available whitish yellow and the pure white color. The second is this color, which I don't really know how to describe. I'm 60% sure that this color is called salmon, so I guess there you go. It is redder than pink, but pinker than red. The third is this very pale blue, which is somewhat between cyan and white. The 1x3 block below it that you can see is actually the previously available blue-grey color with a glowing skin applied, so we can finally have a replacement for that color, which I'm so happy about, because now it means we can accurately make golf racing liveries, for example, without it looking like an anglerfish lure when not in daylight. The color next to it in the menu looks like this, and transitions pretty well between that pale blue and that bluish grey that I mentioned. After that, we have the fifth color, which is this pale green, which fills a gap in the color section that no other green really can. A long time ago, I'm pretty sure we used to actually have this color, so it's good to see it finally make a permanent return. Next we have this off-white color, which sits pretty much smack bang in the middle of white and light grey. I can see myself using this color as a less radiant white, in places where it would be just too bright to use white, but light grey would look wrong. For example, my spaceship from Wednesday, which, if you're interested, you can see in more detail on my channel. The following color is this pinkish purple color, which also looks to sit perfectly between the already existing pale pink and purple colors. After that, we have this very charming blue color that nestles neatly between these two colors. Then we have a load of brown shades, one that seems to be a darker version of the reddest orange we had until now, then the same for a yellower orange, followed by a nice maroon color, and then finally these two shades which, off the top of my head, look like the shades you'd find in a mesa biome in Minecraft. In all seriousness though, our selection of earthly tones in Trailmakers was quite limited until now, so these colors should help a lot with making good camouflage that actually blends in with the game's eccentric terrain. Then we have this, dare I say, lavender looking color, so here's how that looks like next to the other purple colors we have in this game. Next, there's these two dark blue tones that look to be darker than these colors in a similar way to how this teal color is darker than cyan. The same goes for this color, it seems. Here's how it looks next to these two. And then finally, the 18th color that we're getting is this very dark grey. Here's what it looks like next to black and the previously darkest grey. What a colourful update. I already know which colours I will be using very soon. Do you? Let me know in the comments. Staying on the topic of colours, the next feature is the select blocks with the same style as button, which, you guessed it, selects every block in your build that has the same color and the same texture as the blocks you have selected. It only works on one color at a time, so if you have more selected, it will just pick whatever you selected first. Furthermore, we have a brand new change to the UI. Yes, that's right. I'm sure everyone is well aware how the loudest amongst the community were so unfathomably upset when they found out that the build mode UI was getting changed. And quite frankly, if you genuinely thought Flashbulb would have stopped there, then you are a fool. There's no other way around it. Unlike every other menu that is on the bottom, the building block menu was the only one with a scrolling function, meaning it was actually the most future-proof one of them all. And considering it changed, I'm pretty sure the other ones are going to get changed too. The other ones changing is inevitable, because with each new addition to the game, they'll only get more and more cramped. So confirmed so far is the configuration menu. In the game already we have the build mode menu, and in the stream it was briefly mentioned that the color menu is also being worked on. And as for the other ones, not even I know when that's coming. But if you're an OG build mode purist, make sure to brace yourself. On the subject of things mentioned in the stream though, we have some extra leaks that I will briefly cover before I wrap it up. First, there's news of new wedges and transition blocks. The ones we saw in the stream include the following: 4x2 wedge and inverted wedge pieces as seen in the giant wedge on the front of my truck. A 3-way round-to-round transition piece that, if used in the right way, can be very satisfying to work with. And finally, a round-to-square transition block available in both 2-block and 1-block radius. The second midstream leak was a small look at the terrain deformation in mud, which, because it's in the mud flats, you inherently can't see it so well, but I will play the clip anyway.
Can we see maybe some terrain deformation here?
So actually the tank tracks are the worst at showing deformation because they're generally distributing the pressure over a larger
That's actually a
space.
Useless example.
So,
what about this truck here, maybe?
Let's see.
It uses some very big wheels. We just get rid of the pyramid head here.
Crossover.
I wish.
Is it set up here? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it is.
Ah, yeah, you can see it. So
that's deforming.
I should say in the past we did have something that looked like deformation with the tracks being drawn on top that would do some what's called normal overriding the normal buffer, which would make it appear as if it was going into the terrain, but it wasn't. With this, it actually is deforming the terrain.
Yes, it is. There you have it.
Yeah.
We got deformed mud.
Yeah. And more to come on that related to that.
Oh yes, much more.
Very excited.
Much more
to,
exciting stuff. Yeah.
See that.
But anyway, that's it for this week's update news. As far as I'm concerned, the team at Flashbulb seems to be on a generational run for this update. Is there something else you're hoping they'll do for this update, or do you think they're fumbling the bag with the new UI? Let me know in the comments down below. And whilst you're at it, perhaps even consider subscribing both to Yzuei for his entertaining multiplayer content, but also perhaps to me, as I am the sole producer of your favorite Trailmakers news show, Update News. It's free and you can always change your mind later, and it helps us out a ton. This week we covered quality of life improvements. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching. Good night.